Wasn't that fabulous? Oh, that was just so great. Just so great. Oh my God, I am wide awake. Are you all wide awake? Okay, so what exactly does that mean?
James, can we do the opening congregational affirmation?
We don't do that anymore. No, but thanks for sharing. So, we don't do that anymore. We bring pieces of it in throughout the service. Yeah. Do you all miss it? It's something new. This is new church. It's new thought. New church. New Global Truth Center. New. Who's here for the first time? Raise your hand. If you're here for the first time, keep your hand up. We have a gift for you in the bookstore. Thanks for reminding me that, though, Suzanne. Yes. Okay, thank you for bringing your consciousness to us. So, did you ever have one of those nightmares? How many people have ever had a nightmare? So did you ever have one of those nightmares where you're in the middle of the nightmare and you know you're sleeping? Right? It's crazy making. You know you're sleeping and you know that all you have to do is wake up. And right there in the middle of the nightmare, you're like saying to yourself, wake up, that thing chasing me is not real. Wake up. And yet you're scared to death. And did you ever wake up like going, ah. Kevin says I do it all the time. That's not true. But you know what I'm talking about, right? Well, welcome to 2014. I think, now we're not in nightmares. Let me make sure that I'm not telling you all, you are all in a nightmare called your life. No, that's not what I'm saying. No. But what I am saying is, it is time for us to recognize those kind of nightmarish moments of our life and wake up. It's not real. It's just not real. Whatever you're experiencing that is driving you insane is not real. It is the expression of the way you're using your mind. That's it. And you just get to change your mind and use it a different way. And that's the waking up. So we don't have to be in any kind of nightmarish experience or relationship to our world. We just have to wake up. We have to be awake. Now, whatever we put after I am is the way we are directing the universe to show up. So this year for us it is I am awake. And I have to tell you, since I have come up with that, my life has just been so bizarre. Really, the things that have happened that I have been willing to be awake to and say, no, I'm awake here. I'm not going to pass this by and pretend that never happened. I am awake. Whatever you put after I am awake gets to be the directive of your life. So what are you awake to? So I'm going to ask you a question. How is your new year doing so far? How is your new year start? Great? Great? Yeah, me too. Sometimes. No, my New Year is amazing. I had the most incredible New Year's Eve with the Wellens and Mark Wyrick and my husband, and it was just the most incredible night, and it went into like the next day. And New Year's Day was so incredibly relaxing and wonderful for me and Kevin, and we went and saw Saving Mr. Banks, and I honestly thought I was going to have to leave the theater because I honestly thought that the audience was just going to have too much of me. Because I am like crying profusely. My eyes were burning. They were crying so hard. And at one point, I was sitting there going, don't do it, because I was going to go, wasn't I, Kevin? He just left. So it was just this amazing day. Saving Mr. Banks, I don't like to give, to like sell things up here, but if you haven't seen it, you should see it. Yeah, see? So you should see it. It was just beautiful. So, and then I lost my keys. All of my keys. If those of you have seen my key ring, it has the key to everything. To both of our cars, to this building, to the door, to the mailbox out there, to the bookstore. It has keys to everything. And I lost my keys. And I thought to myself, there's this line in the lyric which is, the story's over now, the end, in Wide Awake. The story's over now, the end. And I was like, I am not telling this story again. That I lost my keys. Do you remember the last time I lost my keys? I'm not telling that story again. Although Al Wellen said, please go check that bag. Because if you remember when I lost my keys last time, I lost them. I looked everywhere, and I searched my canvas bag. It was like Mary Poppins' bag. I searched it, and it was not in there. I swear to God, those keys were not in that bag. Except when they were. Really, when I went back and found them in the bag, and I was like, okay, that's another reality. It fell through the black portal. I looked through that bag. Anyway, so I'm like, I'm not telling that story again. I'm not telling that story again. So I stood in my kitchen. Well, first of all, I had to call Kevin because that meant I didn't have a key to the car to go. So Kevin had to leave the gym. I interrupted his workout. Not the best way to start 2014. He had to drive home, and he was actually in a kind of cheerful mood, surprisingly. He was in a cheerful mood. No, really, considering that I broke the tempo of his day. He came in and he went, all right, let's just look. First of all, did you check the bag? I was like, yes, I did, and you're free to check it yourself. And he did. And he checked it, and we both agreed it wasn't in the bag, and that if it showed up in the bag this time, the bag was going to the Smithsonian. That was it. So we're like, all right, the keys are somewhere around here. We went back. I had the keys when I drove back from Llewellyn's. I know it. I had the keys when we went to see Saving Mr. Banks, because I locked my keys in the car, and I have a combination to get in the car, and Kevin said, where are your keys? And I said, they're in the car, and I went back to the car. I had the keys up to that point. So it wasn't like I left them under my seat at Saving Mr. Banks. It wasn't like I left them some weird place. They were in the house. And what I really understood is that the keys weren't lost. My mind was lost. And I thought, wow, that's compelling. I am not telling this story again the same way. The keys are not lost. You know, I thought of calling my Aunt Jerry and asking her to pray to St. Anthony, but I don't do that anymore. So I thought the keys are not lost. My mind is lost. Now let's get my mind clear. So Kevin and I are looking everywhere, and we started looking in those places that you would look if you really thought you'd lost your mind. Like, all right, let me look in the freezer. I'd gone into the freezer. Let me look in the refrigerator. You know what? I did laundry. Let me go look in the washing machine. Let me look where the lasting detergent is. I looked everywhere. Where else did I look? Oh, I looked in the shower. I thought, did I carry them into the shower? That's it. I looked in the shower. I even opened the trash can. I thought maybe I threw them out. But I didn't even look in the trash. I was like, I did not throw my keys out. Close the door. So all of a sudden, I turn around, and there is Kevin opening the trash can. And I was like, honey, I did not throw my keys in the trash can. He said, you never know. I've done it before. I said, all right. So I'm about to walk away from him, and I hear this clink. And I was like, I said, oh my God, those are my keys. They were in the trash can. In the middle of the trash can, we pulled them out. Kevin pulled them out. I was using the royal we. Well, to be honest, you pulled them out. I took them and cleaned them. Yes. So, why am I telling you this story? Other than to tell, because I don't want to tell the same story again, and again, and again. So, here's the deal. As soon as I got the keys out of the trash, and then I started realizing probably Kevin could have done it, not me, so it might not have been my fault. But, so, no, I take full responsibility for those keys landing in the trash can, no matter who put them in there. So, and that's how we live this teaching, yes? Yes, so I'm standing there, and I'm like, I am not telling this story again this way. I said, so, I'm awake. I am awake. So what am I awake to here? What's the message here? Why did my keys land in the trash can? And what's mine to know here? And oh my God, instantaneously, here's what I hear coming through myself. I hear, you have the key to everything, and very often you throw it in the trash. What? I know, what? And I was like, and that's why I left the kitchen so fast. I said, I've got to write that down. So, and I did. I went in and wrote that down. So, I have the keys to everything, and yet sometimes I throw it in the trash. So, it made me start thinking about this talk in 2014, I am awake. So I have to start being awake too, to the thoughts that I have that are those trashy thoughts, and I don't mean those kind of trashy thoughts. I mean the thoughts that really are garbage in our mind. The thinking that does us no good, the thinking that distracts us. Oh my God, how many of you have things that distract you from life? Right? Stop it. Bob Newhart, stop it. Stop being distracted. When you are distracted, it's not like something came along and like pummeled itself on you and said, I'm going to distract you. No, here's what happens. I need a distraction because my mind needs to break. And we walk away. We get distracted. A lot of times we're distracted because there's something we don't want to deal with, or some issue or some problem, and we don't know who we are, so we get distracted in something else. Those are garbage thoughts, the distractions, right? Thinking that pushes our dreams away. How many of you have thinking that literally challenges the very things you say you want to do? You hear yourself say, this is my desire, this is my quest, this is my desire, and then all of a sudden you hear, oh, you can't do that. Everybody does that. I had this great meditation yesterday. I don't know how many of you are on my Facebook page, but I was in a tree at the top of a mountain, in a tree, not sitting under a tree, thank you, Jason Henson, not sitting under a tree. I was in a tree meditating, and I looked over, and there was my shadow. But it was a shadow of the tree with me in it, and I was one with the shadow, one with the tree. So I took a picture and posted it. So this whole concept of the mind and what it does, in my mind, I was sitting there thinking, and I always just asked the universe, what do I need to know today? And one of the things that came forward to me was this idea of understanding that we have the key to everything. I have the key to every single thing in my life. And yesterday, as I was sitting in that tree, I was asking what's mine to do. And one of the things that came up is, don't become distracted by what everybody else is doing. Just do what's yours to do and see what happens. And that's a key. And that's something to stay exceedingly focused on. So in 1914, I was just a wee little thing. In 2014, this year, every single one of us in this room and online, and every person who hears this, has the opportunity to really decide to stay awake. As Mary said so beautifully, I love that story, because my kids are about to learn to drive too. You know, it's really important for us to get a concept, a real concept of what it means to be awake. Not to like suddenly blame ourselves for everything, but to be awake enough to see what's going on in our lives. Ernest Holmes wrote this in the chapter called The Thing Itself. He says, we see abundance in the universe. We cannot count the grains of sand on a single beach. The earth contains untold riches, and the very air is vibrant with power. Why then are we weak, poor, and afraid? Good question. If we really got it, if we really knew that right where I am, God is, the allness of the universe. As I was sitting in that tree yesterday, I tend to sit there for a while. I found this great tree, and I'm not telling anyone where it is, because I really love the solitude of it. But I was sitting there for about a half hour, 45 minutes, and then this family came up. And as they came up, I turned, dropped my water, it rolled down the hill. One of the kids caught it. I went down to get the water. I turned around, and they had all taken over the tree, which was totally fine for them. And I heard this great voice inside of myself, my own voice, obviously, say to me, get out of the tree and go live. I was like, you heard what you needed to hear today. You've already meditated for 45 minutes. Get out of the tree and go live. And if I have to throw your water down a hill to make you do it, I will. And I was wide awake to it. I just stayed awake to everything as it was happening and listened to the clear messages the trees will give us. Friends, people we don't even know will give us. The sky will give us. There were hawks and this one beautiful, not hawks, blackbirds, then one beautiful brown falcon that flew over the tree yesterday. And it was just magnificent. Wide awake to all of it and remembering that I am one with it. So, the Katy Perry lyrics, I'm wide awake, I was in the dark, I was falling hard with an open heart, I'm wide awake, how did I read the stars so wrong? So let's just say we've read some of the stars wrong so far. Maybe up to this point in our life, we still haven't really gotten it at 100%, okay? I'm wide awake, and now it's clear to me that everything you see ain't always what it seems. I'm wide awake, yeah, I was dreaming for so long. It is time for you and I to get out of the dream state of life and wake up to the active living state of life. Yes, meditation is important. Prayer is important. These Sunday mornings that we all meet, very important. We stimulate one another. We get excited. We have passion. But then we must take it out into the world. We have to live this teaching. We have to live this philosophy. And not just this teaching, Buddhism, Hinduism, Christianity, Catholicism. If any of you are listening to the new Pope, what a dead silence. Who's listening to the new Pope? I am. The man's brilliant. You know, anybody that starts understanding it's time for us to come together with what Jesus taught and not find ways to separate ourselves, that's a man that I'm going to listen to. Right? So it is time for us to wake up and take this teaching out into the street. Get out of the dream state. I'm not talking about dreams that we want to have about our life. I'm talking about walking through life in a little bit of a dream state. Not willing to be wide awake to whatever's happening. And that means whatever's happening. If you have things happening in your life and you are not happy with them, don't walk away from them. Don't turn away from them. And also don't get all stressed out over them. Just see them for what they are. Effects. Just effects. It's not the truth. We went to Universal yesterday and we saw that effects show. It was really awesome. But as I sat there watching them make all of these, like this one girl just stood on a box and then they put the green screen behind her and Godzilla came to eat her. I think we think that's real in our own lives. We are just standing, waiting to create our own picture, and we let the universal, I'll wait for you. We let the universal come in and show us something we don't want, and then act like it's real. It's not. I watched that girl get off the box and go back to her seat. Untouched, unblemished. That's who we have to be. I wish I knew then what I know now. I wouldn't dive in. I wouldn't bow down. Gravity hurts. You made it so sweet till I woke up on the concrete. I love these lyrics. You made it so sweet until I woke up on the concrete. The universe, the world has a way of sucking us in. Really, even sucking us into things that we don't want. And reactions and ideas, like the whole thing on prosperity, the concept of that there's not enough money in the world. It has a way of luring us into that, and we start believing it and buying into it until we land on the concrete. We feel comfortable because everybody's poor. Thank you. Right? It's like, oh, everybody's experiencing this. That's why I'm experiencing it. No. You're experiencing it because everybody's experienced it and you believed it. Until we wake up and we're on the concrete. Now, this idea of being on the concrete means there's got to come a time, come to Jesus moment, when you actually stand and look at your life and say, I see you, but I know who I am. That's landing on the concrete. Because gravity, as it says here, gravity is a law. But when we abuse the law, we crash. How many of you right now feel like you could go to the top of this building and jump into Magnolia Street and not be hurt? Probably a very few of you. I've been up there. I'm not jumping. Because I understand the law of gravity. I also understand the law of cause and effect. I also understand the law of attraction and allowing that which I am equal to come to me because I know who I am. The law of oneness. There's another law. The law of oneness, that you are connected to everything in the universe. My new tree that I found, when I climb up there, and it's a high climb, when I get up there, I can see the whole city in a panoramic, in a whole 360. And it's just a beautiful moment. And I get it, that I am one with it all. Find moments like that in your life this year. Don't settle for waking up and going right to your computer to check emails. That is not a good way to start your day. And I used to start my day that way. And I still, this morning I found myself just going to the computer and I went, you said you weren't going to do that. And I picked up Ernest Holmes instead. Find the moments in your life this year to be awake, not just living the same life the way you've been living it. Find moments, ways to go find things in your life that awaken you to something bigger, to your oneness. Take a dance class. Take a mambo class. You know, go hiking. Go into the ocean. Go canoeing. Go snorkeling. I won't be with you, but go snorkeling. Whatever it takes. You are worth it. Do you know that? You are worth taking the time to remember who you are. We have been seduced in this country, I think in this world at this time. We have been seduced by the status quo. We have been seduced even in these religions into believing that we are human beings having a spiritual experience. That is so not right. I am not a human being having a spiritual experience when I climb a mountaintop. That's not who I am. I'm not having a spiritual experience. I am the spiritual experience. That's who you are. So if you ever hear yourself saying or ever hear someone else say, well, I'm a human being having a spiritual experience, don't hit them. But hit them with some truth and just say, you know what? I think we need to move beyond that. I think it's time we actually get where the spiritual experience itself. I don't have to denigrate my humanness by saying there's this thing called human and this thing called divine. There is just this thing called God. Yes? Yes. So, last lyric, falling from cloud 9, crashing from the high. I'm letting go tonight. Yeah, I'm falling from cloud 9. So, this New Year's, people were writing, in my family, we have a lot of boys. My mom had 4 boys, and then my dad had another boy and a girl after my mom passed. And my dad passed about 5 years ago. And they were all writing these emails back and forth. My father's birthday is January 2nd, of what my dad used to say, just these sayings he used to have. And they were kind of maddening most of the time. And I couldn't think of one until I'm working on this talk. And I realized what my father constantly would say to me. He would say, Jimmy, you are on cloud 9. And what he would mean is, you are just so up in your head, you are so in an unrealistic understanding of the world, you got to come back to reality. And he would constantly tell me I was on cloud 9. And anyone he thought wasn't realistic to him was someone who lived on cloud 9. So, I want to tell you about the origin of cloud 9. It's the U.S. Weather Bureau. Level 9 is the highest cumulonimbus cloud, which can reach 30,000 to 40,000 feet and appear as glorious white mountains in the sky. So, if you are on cloud 9, you are considered to be at the very peak of existence itself. That's to you, Dad, listening. Now, according to Buddhism, reaching the 9th stage of Bodhisattva, I think that's how you say that, Bodhisattva, one is as close as one can get to the state of Dharma, and that is the stage where all acts are unselfish and free from desire. Cloud 9. So, for me, what cloud 9 is that place, that highest level of consciousness when I remember who I am. And the idea of falling from cloud 9 is when we forget who we are and suddenly we're in the world of form trying to figure it out. But the only place to figure it out is on cloud 9, the highest level of consciousness. And I remember my father constantly telling me to be realistic in life. I remember when I applied for Juilliard, I went to the audition for Juilliard, and my father was like, I don't know why you're going there. There's no way you're ever going to get into Juilliard. He said, you don't have the training, you don't have the talent, you don't have what it takes to get into Juilliard, and I don't want to see you hurt, which I thought that was sweet of him. But I went anyway. And I did, in fact, get into Juilliard. I'm not going to go into that story. I'm saving that story. But I didn't go to Juilliard. But I went to New York against all odds and did exactly what I wanted to do. Even when I went to New York and said, I'm going to be a Broadway star, and my whole family was like, how? You had no training. You're not a dancer. You sing okay. You know, you're really skinny. How are you going to do that? And I just said, watch. Because I live on cloud 9. And for a long time, I made apologies for living on cloud 9. I had to constantly argue with my family, telling them that this is who I am, but cloud 9 was something that I was thinking, maybe that's not the place to be. Maybe I should get, as my father used to say, maybe I should get a real job. Like, get a real job. And then that backup plan. You know, you need to have a backup plan, Jimmy. Have a backup plan for when it doesn't happen. How many of you have a backup plan for when your dreams don't happen? I hope not. Because guess what the universe says when you have a backup plan? You're not in. You're not all in. And I'm sorry, any parents who are listening to me saying, yeah, but I want my kids. You know what? I honor whatever parenting you do. But I have said to my children, because they both brought up the idea of backup plans and backup schools, I went, no. You don't need a backup plan. Find your passion. Live your passion, and the universe will provide. That's how it works. And Will said, or you'll provide. I said, whatever way. Right. So, find your passion and live your passion. And here's the thing. You're not going to find your passion or live your passion if you're not willing to be wide awake. Absolutely 100% wide awake. I'm wide awake, not losing any sleep. I picked up every piece and landed on my feet. Nothing to complete myself. I'm wide awake, and I love this. Yeah, I'm born again. Out of the lion's den. I don't have to pretend, and it's too late. The story's over now. The title of my talk today is It's Time for a New Story. So I want to ask you, what story do you want to tell in 2014? What story do you want to tell? What story do you want to tell in 2015? What do you want to tell about 2014 in 2015? Why not know that now and then go live that story? Why don't we stop waiting to see how the world's going to evolve us and actually decide to let the world evolve me at my highest level of consciousness and me tell my own story? Here's what I want, here's what I choose, here's what I desire, here's what I know. The universe can't help but back you up with that. So, stay awake, stay conscious to the story you want to tell. You know why? Because there is a law listening to you. There is something listening to every single thing you're saying. And it is asking you, what do you want? What do you want? You have the key to every lock that right now may seem locked to you. You have the key. In order to unlock it, you have to first know you have the key. You then have to find the key if you've thrown it in the trash. Right? And then once you find the key, clean it up. Because if it's been in the trash, it might be a little mucky. Clean it up. And then put your intention into that key, turn it, watch it unlock, and then step into the wonder that this universe has in store for us. 2014, I am awake. And the universe is saying, let me give you the most amazing visuals possible to be awake to. It is going to be a magnificent year. So much is in store for every single one of us. We just have to be willing to be awake to it. Namaste. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.